Hi, my name is Al Littek, and we're here in my 6th Street neon shop in Fairview Beach, Virginia. And this is my good friend Kottwitz, the owner and operator, Uptown Neon in Richmond, Virginia. Chloe and I are neon sign makers, also known as tube benders, of which there are very few left in this area. So we thought we'd make this video to show you how we make our neon signs. All of our signs that we make start with 4-foot straight tubes of various diameters, some of which are clear glass, some of which are phosphor-coated glass. Now, the industry is commonly referred to by everyone as neon sign making. But the fact is that most of our signs, 85 to 90% perhaps, actually use a combination of argon and neon gas combined with mercury to create the various colors. For example, the 6th Street neon sign that you see up there is clear glass with argon and mercury mixture. Argon by itself with mercury is blue. Fairview Beach is neon in clear glass, and neon doesn't require mercury. All the other signs you see up there, with the exception of the toucan bee, are argon gas, mercury vapor, and phosphor-coated glass to create the green and the yellow and the pinks you see up there. Now, every project we do, we start with developing a pattern. The pattern we use as a template to go to and bend our glass once we come out of the hot fires. Chloe, who is a very talented tube bender, will be demonstrating the glass bending portion of this video while I will be narrating and describing some of the particulars of the process. We always start by marking an area of the glass, specifically in the area and the length that we want to make our bend. From there, we go to our fires and pay very close attention to the fires and the glass and carefully bring the heat up to the glass, and when it's ready and reaches the temperature of a working temperature, we bring it out of fires, puff a little air in with our blow tube, being very careful not to touch the hot parts of the glass that we've previously bent. We mark our next length of tube that we want to bend. In this case, we're making the word home, and we're going to show you how to make the letter O, of home. Turning the tube and heating the tube evenly is essential to making a good bend. Knowing when to come out of the fires is a matter of feel, knowing when the tube feels right and looks right and is ready to come out of the fire, which is about the temperature of 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Before we come out of the fire, rapidly come to our table, because we only have about 8 to 10 seconds total before the tube begins to cool and set up. Going on to our next bend. Now, Chloe is making this process look easy, but it is, believe me, it is not. It takes many, many hours to develop that feel for when the glass is right, and it is a feel. You really have to concentrate and be into the fires and into the glass, knowing when it's ready to come out. Puff it out, make your bend, come back to the table quickly, and make the final adjustment to match our pattern. This particular O, it has 5 bends, so it's a very time-consuming process, each bend taking approximately 2 to 3 minutes. And you have to be very careful to know when you're ready to come out of the fires, and then form your glass to the pattern and complete the letter O. Chloe has now made this morning a beautiful O that matches her pattern perfectly. Now that you see how we bend our glass, we next go to the bombarding process. It's a known fact that in order for a tube to last a long time, it has to be cleansed of all of the impurities that are adhered to the walls of the inside of the tubes. We do this with a process that has electricity, which is delivered by this high voltage transformer, 5 kVA, which are tied to these high voltage leads and are attached to the electrodes that at the last phase of our bending, we attach electrodes to each end of the tube to convey the electricity to the gas. One of these electrodes has a tubulation. The purpose of that tubulation is to act as a conduit in order to evacuate, after the bombarding, all of the contaminants. Add the gas through this and also the mercury. Now the mercury is delivered by a mercury trap. Now the way a mercury trap is made, we use a piece of 5mm tubulation, like the one on the end of that electrode. You heat a small piece of this glass in the fires until the gravity starts to make it sag. We blow out and create a reservoir in which we insert our mercury trap. We insert a small BB size ball of mercury in the reservoir to eventually drop in the sign at the very end of the bombarding and burn-in process. Now we're ready to go to the bombarding table. We have a mercury trap with a ball of mercury to the manifold, and then we splice our piece of glass to that manifold to create a complete and vacuumed system in the tube. Now we're ready for the actual bombarding part of the process. We have a temperature gauge and a milliamp gauge and a vacuum gauge that we use for this process. And then we blast electricity at a high volume through the tube. We have to monitor our pressure in the tube because as the tube heats up, it produces pressure which we have to continually reduce to the pressure that we want while we're bombarding the tube. Continually pulling it down proper pressure and coming back with electricity. If you look at Chloe's left hand, she has it on a choke, which gives us the various levels of electricity that we want to bring through the tube. Bringing it up in a concise, methodical method until it reaches the temperature that we want, which is about 250 to 270 degrees Celsius. Once we reach that level, we open the vacuum pump and completely evacuate that tube of all the impurities. The tube, once it cools, which takes a few minutes, is now ready for us to add the argon neon gas in this particular case. If you look at that glass tube that Chloe's staring at, that's our U gauge, and that's where we add our gas to the tube. You see that liquid rising in that tube. That tells us when we have the proper amount of gas in the tube, which is now ready to be removed from the manifold and taken over to the final phase of the bombarding and processing process, which is what we call the burn-in. At that point, when we feel like the electrodes are right and the air is removed and the contaminants are removed, we drop the mercury from the trap that you see above Chloe's left hand, roll the mercury ball throughout the entire tube, and now we have our final product. Chloe has made a beautiful word home today, now ready to paint out between the letters and mount on our piece of acrylic. So that is the way that neon signs are made. As you can see, it takes a great deal of time and effort and diligence and attention to detail to make our signs. We hope that the next time that you walk into your favorite bar or restaurant and see that beautiful palm tree on the wall, or the crab, or the Budweiser sign, you'll have a new appreciation for the guy who made that beautiful sign and the effort it took. Thank you for watching.